Park rangers spend a lot of their time outdoors, and this in turn means that they get to know their surroundings. A little known mystery that many aren't aware of is that of trees that have been ripped from the ground. Except for a few social media posts made by park rangers and a few scattered articles, there's not much information about this mystery, but those who have encountered these scenes have been left confused. One post was submitted by a park ranger in the United States, and they detailed that on a number of occasions they found these trees turned upside down, nothing that would seem out of the ordinary in a place like a national park, or in a state that often gets hit by harsh weather conditions. However, this park ranger soon picked up on the fact that something didn't seem right. They described that the trees had been torn straight from the ground, but the strange thing about this is that no other trees nearby had been affected, pretty much ruling out that this had been done by a natural event, and this led them to believe that it was an isolated incident. Only a matter of weeks later though, the park ranger was walking through the same national park, saying that it can be found in Washington, and once again found another tree that had been turned upside down and forced into the ground. He said that these trees are easy to find, sticking out among the rest with the roots pointed towards the sky. However, when he approached people and casually brought it up in conversation, they seemed to be just as confused as he was, asking whether there had been any type of severe weather conditions in the region that may have caused this. As stated though, these trees hadn't been ripped out of the ground in the same way as a storm, but rather pulled and then placed back into the earth using a huge amount of force. The question he had was, why would someone do this, and how could they generate enough force to be able to place a tree back into the earth upside down? When asked in the comments section whether he had seen or heard anything else, he was hesitant to comment further, but did go into detail that friends of his had strange encounters while out in national parks in Washington, and that they would often hear loud knocks throughout the woods, along with them saying that they heard whoops and other vocalizations throughout the area, leading them to think that something else was going on here that isn't being covered. The man didn't carry on down this route though, and just seemed confused about how these trees had been ripped and forced back into the ground. Others did want to talk about this topic though, and people soon started to share their opinions and theories about what could have caused this, along with what could have been making those vocalizations that his friends and others had been hearing throughout these areas. Hearing strange knocking sounds along with inhuman vocals isn't common, but enough people have allegedly heard them that it's led to investigators to take these claims seriously. Campers have also said that during the early hours of the morning, they heard strange sounds that they said couldn't have been made by a human. Although scientists and researchers will disagree with the culprit, many have pinned this on Bigfoot, saying that they also create dens and break down trees, although the reason for why they do this is highly debated among believers. Some think they do this in order to create shelter for themselves, while others say they do it to warn others in nearby areas that humans are approaching, using these branches and dens as a way of knowing that humans have been there. These humanoid creatures have been reported all across the United States, with the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization stating that they've catalogued thousands of Bigfoot sightings in recent years, and noted that the state with the most sightings is that of Washington. One report that was submitted several years ago details the following. Me and my friend went on a fishing trip in Mount Rainier National Park. We started our hike from Forest Service Road 73 into Mount Rainier National Park via the trail that goes past Lake Elinor. This was the closest we could get to our fishing destination due to long-time road closures in the area. We hiked in on mainland trails through Grand Park and then down to White River, and then up to Lake James. Our plan was for 2 nights at Oliver Lake, but with some route finding difficulty we stayed at another lake for 1 night. The next morning we hiked for around 15 minutes and located Oliver Lake, set up camp and then began fishing. As we fished around part of the lake from approximately 11 AM to 5 PM, I found it odd that I did not see any other sign of human evidence of any kind. i.e. fishermen trails, trash areas previously camped in, etc. Later that night, me and my buddy were inside our tent. They were fast asleep and I was tossing and turning. Suddenly I hear a low-pitched scream coming from the ridge above us, which I estimate about 300 feet up. Every inch of my body is on high alert, and I'm trying to figure out what is making the noise. The screams came in quick succession, and totaled 8 to 10 screams. By the time I wake up my buddy, the screams have stopped, and I explained to him what I heard. We continued to listen and did not hear anything else, and eventually we went to sleep. I'm writing this now because it jogged my memory from watching a Bigfoot show on TV last night, and it really struck a chord with me to reach out and report what I'd encountered. I've been an active hiker, camper and fisherman for many years now, and stayed in many remote places, including Canada, Europe and South America, and I've never heard this low-pitched scream. I've come across bear and cougars and do not attribute this sound to any of those species." End quote. The search for advanced life is never ending. Although scientists have said that we need to look to the stars to find advanced life, there's many that have suggested that we've been looking in the wrong place, and that all this time it might have been right in front of us. There's various locations that have been put forward that could hold proof of advanced life. These include old archaeological sites, but the most recent one that's caught people's attention is that of Antarctica. It's one of the least explored places on Earth. Only a few people live here, but despite this, many interesting discoveries have been made in recent years. It's no secret that officials are interested in Antarctica. In fact, countless experiments have been conducted here since man first stepped foot on the icy continent, and many of them have advanced our knowledge. The most recent discoveries that are doing the rounds on social media though are those that can't be so easily explained. Amateur researchers have said that across Antarctica there's various places that are starting to melt, and that this melting ice is revealing strange looking structures hiding underneath. It's important to note that scientists and researchers have said that there's nothing of interest in Antarctica, and that the majority of these discoveries can be explained using natural explanations. But that hasn't stopped some from spending hours looking through old images of Antarctica, and also using applications like Google Earth in order to find mysterious out-of-place looking structures. The most recent discovery was this one, which was found by an online user who suggested that it showed something being revealed from the frozen ice. The photographs got various reactions from those who saw them, with some labelling this object as a large ship, while others said it looks like the remains of an ancient city, and that it could be proof that ancient humans made it here and started building large structures. One person said the following about the discovery: "If you showed someone this image and didn't tell them any context behind it, they would likely say that it looks like a building or a crashed boat, or possibly a ship of some sort. You can see what looks like towers and levels inside it. I find it interesting that when you say things like this were found in Antarctica, it automatically causes people to brush it aside. Science is all about learning and correcting ourselves about the history of our planet. Why couldn't this be something like a building or a ship? We need to be more open-minded about this kind of stuff." End quote. Others carried on from this and said this isn't the first time that we've found something strange in Antarctica, while others said that many of the discoveries that are found here are blurry, but in the case of this one you can actually make out a lot of detail. Others went down a different route, and suggested that during certain periods in history, some countries travelled to faraway regions to construct buildings, so they would have an advantage over the enemy. Some said this could have been constructed by humans when people first started travelling here. Skeptics have said these types of discoveries are not uncommon, and what people are looking at is just gaps in the snow, saying that when the surrounding ice melts it gives off the illusion that something is underneath it, when in reality all you're looking at is rocks. This isn't the only recent discovery that's been made in Antarctica. Scientists have recently reported that a massive object that could change our understanding of history is hidden beneath the Antarctic ice. This mysterious anomaly is believed to be underneath an area called Wilkes Land. The area is over 150 miles across and has a minimum depth of around 2,500 feet. Interestingly, researchers have suggested that it could be the remains of a giant asteroid, and if this is the case, it would have been more than twice the size of the asteroid that struck Mexico 66 million years ago. This could help to answer one of the planet's most mysterious events. During the Permian-Triassic, a massive extinction event happened. It caused over 96% of Earth's sea creatures, and over 70% of the vertebrate organisms living on land to perish. This giant rock could have been behind that event. This mysterious anomaly was first brought to the attention of researchers in 2006, and this was when NASA's satellites picked up on gravitational changes. Another announcement was made a few years back, when scientists reported that they managed to reach a subglacial lake which was under Antarctica. This lake was over 3,000 feet below the surface of the ice. The subglacial Antarctic lake's scientific access said the following: "It's almost 2 whole days of drilling to reach the subglacial lake during this holiday season. We had a huge team with us, and it wouldn't have been possible without them." The team of researchers included over 40 scientists, drillers and various other staff members. The researchers were able to see a glimpse of the giant subglacial body of water, and it's estimated that it's twice the size of Manhattan. The researchers are currently studying the lake and hope to understand its depth, temperatures and what kind of life is down there. Due to it being a remote place, some have said that there could be creatures down there unknown to science. One of the chief scientists said they were unsure of what to expect, as it's such a new discovery, and they were still learning as they went along. Although this sounds like an easy task, it's not just a matter of digging a hole. There's specific steps that need to happen for this to work. For example, scientists needed to test that the water was clean. When they did though, they were surprised to learn that the water was as clean as filtered water. One of the scientists on the mission said the following: "It's exciting that we are sampling the deepest standing water body humans have ever accessed beneath Antarctica. This is a slow process though, and it will take years to collect and process the data.